Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears here, and today I'm sharing with you 10 cards that I made with the Spellbinders November 2022 card kit. This kit is called Time Offline, and it has a camping and outdoors theme. You can make cards for people who love the outdoors, who are starting new adventures in their life, and those who love traveling or will be traveling. It's also great for birthday cards, retirement cards, and friendship cards. This kit would also be perfect for camping and outdoor themed scrapbooks and traveler's notebooks. Here's a look at all of the kit contents. I did previously do an unboxing of this card kit, and I will link it at the top right corner of this video. I will also include a link in the description box below if you want to check out the unboxing. And as always, if you are interested in this kit or just want to find out more about any of the Spellbinders clubs, since there are many of them, I will have a link to all of that information down in the description box below, as well as on my blog at lisamearsdesigns.com. So for my first card, I'm going to be using the Spellbinders Postage Edge Ovals. This collection is brand new to Spellbinders. They have this collection in a variety of shapes. So these are the ovals. They also have squares, rectangles, slimline, as well as circles. So basically, the ovals consist of 6 different dies. 3 of the dies have a postage edge, and 3 of the dies have a stitched edge. And the stitched oval can be layered on top of the postage oval. So these are brand new to Spellbinders, and I have them in all of the shapes. So I am going to be bringing these in to my video today to use them on my cards because I really wanted to work with them. So for my first card, I have the cloud pattern paper that is cut to 5 3/8 by 4 inches, and the solid green cardstock that is 5 3/8 by 2 1/4 inches. And I'm going to take the largest postage oval and the largest stitched oval, and I'm going to be using these on my card. So I added that green cardstock to the bottom half of the cloud paper, but I didn't glue it down yet. Instead, I'm going to wait to glue it down until I have that oval positioned exactly where I want it. I want to make sure that I can fit all of my ephemera pieces inside of this oval perfectly. So I'm wanting to make sure that the tent pieces are in the grassy area on the green cardstock, and that the RV is just resting on the very top edge of the green cardstock. So by not adhering these papers yet, it allows me to move up or down that oval as I need to in order to fit all of these ephemera pieces in the right spot inside of my oval. Of course, I don't want that green cardstock too high because then that RV would be outside of the oval. So this is key for me to get this position exactly right. So you can see me taking some time just to maneuver all of these pieces. And once I have everything exactly where I want them, I'm just going to take some tape out and I'm going to tape the cardstock to keep it together and tape the die down to the cardstock. Then I'm going to remove the ephemera pieces, and then I will run this through my die cut machine, and it's actually going to cut these pieces out for me in the shape of the oval, and it will also put the stitching around all of that cardstock. So it has the stitching around the bottom half of the green and also the stitching all around that cloud cardstock. So now I can go ahead and glue down this green piece to the bottom half of that oval. So now I'm going to be able to create this little scene inside of this oval where I have the clouds in the sky and then I have that green grassy area. So now I'm going to go ahead and add these ephemera pieces to my scene. So I add the RV and the 2 tents. And I also want to add some trees around all of that grassy area. So I'm going to take out the stamp set that's included in the kit. It has the RV on the stamp set, and there's a tent and some trees. I'm going to take the smallest tree and I'm going to ink it up with some green ink, and I'm just going to stamp it down in various locations on that green area of my oval. And I wanted it to look like some of the trees are behind the tents. So I'm just using a piece of scrap cardstock here, and I just put it over the tent and then stamped it down so it kind of looks like there's some trees peeking behind the tent. So once I finish stamping my trees, I take the largest postage edge oval and I die cut a piece of white cardstock, and then I just add the stitched oval with the scene right on top. And you can see how those layer perfectly together. And then, as I said earlier and showed you earlier with the dies, there are two other sets of smaller dies that you can do this same stacking method with. I'm going to add that oval to a piece of the pink pattern paper that measures 5.5 by 4.25. And then I'm going to take out the sheet of foam stickers that came with the kit, and I'm going to add the sentiment that says "Another Year of Adventure." So I'll add it to the lower right hand side, with the right side of that sentiment being flush with the edge of that pink cardstock. And then I'm going to add the sun in the top left hand corner. And then I will add this layer to the A2 size card base that came in the kit. The A2 size card base is 4.25 by 5.5 inches. I love how these postal edge dies make this scene look like it's coming from a postcard. I think that's a super cute look, especially with this camping theme of this kit. Okay, so moving on to my next card, I have a piece of this tree pattern paper I cut down to 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. I also am using a die from Sunny Studio Stamps. This is the Slimline Nature Border die set. And I die cut this grassy border, and I'm just going to add it right below this tent. I wanted to get this tent positioned exactly perfectly within this grassy border, and you're going to see that I was able to hook the left and right side of that tent right within the grass that's sticking up on that border. So after I add the grass to my pattern paper, I go ahead and add some more ephemera pieces. The sign says, "Wherever you go, go with all your heart." And I went ahead and I'm going to put glue on the back and stick it behind the grass. That's a chipboard piece. And then I'm going to add the raccoon, and I'm going to add the book in the grass. I'm going to go ahead and add this to an orange card layer, which measures 5.5 by 4.25. And then I'll add this to the white card base. And then I decide to come back in to the scene and add a mushroom off to the left, add another mushroom between the raccoon and the book, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the word "enjoy" from these foam stickers right above the tent, because there's too much empty space going on above that tent and it needed something, and this word "enjoy" is the perfect size. A lot of these stickers lend themselves very well to scrapbook pages or traveler's notebooks that are outdoorsy in theme. You can see there's some large words there like outdoors, there's camp, life, wonder, explore, and you can also color these. These are just white puffy stickers. You can actually take a marker and color these if you wanted to change the color of them. All right, so that completes my next card, and for card number 3, I'm going to be bringing in the Postage Edge square dies. This die set has 8 cutting dies, with the largest one being a 5-inch by 5-inch die, and you can see you have 4 of the postal edge dies and 4 of the just regular stitched dies. So just like with the ovals, you can use them together or you can use them separately. I think this is a kind of 2-for-1 deal, because you can just use them as stitch dies or as postal dies, or you can combine them and use them by layering them on each other. So I have this constellation paper, which I die cut with the second largest stitched die. And I have some more of this cardstock from the previous card that has the grassy border on it, and I'm just going to bring that in and use it here. So before I add that grassy border to the pattern paper, I'm just laying it out like I did with that first card, just to make sure that I have enough room from where the grass is and then the constellation pattern paper is for all of those ephemera pieces. And once I have it where I want it, I go ahead and just add some tape and then die cut the cardstock, the green cardstock, with the constellation pattern paper using that same square die that I initially used, and that will give me the stitched border all around that solid green cardstock. So now I'll go ahead and add that green grassy border to the bottom of the constellation pattern paper. And now I can be sure that when I add the sign behind the grass that it's going to fit perfectly and the top part of the sign is not going to be going off of that pattern paper. So now I'll go ahead and add the RV and everything fits perfectly within that square. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take a piece of the gold mirror cardstock. I cut this down to 3 5/8 by 3 5/8, and I'm just going to add my little scene to the top of the gold mirror cardstock. I think that gold mirror cardstock, it really brings out the gold in the stars. I took the stitched square die and die cut some white cardstock, and then I'll just add the scene right on top of the white cardstock, and then I took the largest postal die and die cut a piece of the dark blue cardstock, and then I'm going to add the entire layer there on top of the blue postal edge die. So now I have used 3 of the dies in that collection to create some nice layering onto this front of my card. So I've decided I'm going to go ahead and make this a shaped card. So in order to do that, I'm taking a piece of white cardstock, folding it in half, and taking the largest postal die and putting it slightly over the edge of the fold in my cardstock. I'm going to tape the die down to the cardstock so that it does not move. You can see that there is a slight gap between the die and the cardstock. And then I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. And after I do that, I now have my card base. So now that entire card layer can go on the card base, but I just want to point something out real quick, that when I turn this over, you're going to see that the back side of this card has some blue cardstock peeking out at the top edge. The card base is not quite the same size as the card layer because remember I cut a little bit off when I die cut that card base. So to fix this, I am just going to take that same large postal edge die again and just die cut a piece of white solid cardstock. And then I'll add that to my card base. And then I'll take the card layer that is decorated and I will go ahead and add that to the top. I'm just going to line up all of those edges to make sure everything is even, and that's how you can make a shaped card with these dies. And I love that that large die is 5 by 5 inches, which is the perfect size for a square card. And when I turn it over, you can see that now everything is white on the back. There's no more blue peeking through at the top. So that completes that card. For my next card, I die cut the constellation pattern paper with a circle die. I'm going to add the chipboard piece of the mountains. I'm also going to use the Jeep ephemera piece. So I'm just going to create a little scene inside this circle. Once I have my mountains positioned where I want them, I'm going to take a piece of the green cardstock, line it up with the straight edge of the cardstock underneath the mountains, and I am going to glue it down to the bottom half of the circle. So I'll press that down really well, and then I'm going to take my mountains off of the die cut piece, and I'm just going to line up my circle die with the circle that I already cut out. I'll add tape to this and I'll run this through my die cutting machine, and that will allow me to cut out the green pattern paper so that it is in the shape of a circle rather than just me taking my scissors and cutting around the edge, because I might not get that perfect circle with my scissors. Using the die to die cut this again will give me that perfect edge. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the mountains, and I'm just going to add glue to the back and add them right along that straight edge of the green cardstock. I'm also going to have some of these trees in the background. I'm just going to stamp them down with some green ink. And then I'm going to add some foam to the back of my Jeep, and I'm going to pop that Jeep right up on top. I'm going to add this circle to one of the white card bases. I thought just by adding it to the white, it really made that circle pop with all of those deep and rich colors. And then for the sentiment, I'm using the sentiment Enjoy the Journey. This is one of the foam stickers, and I'm just going to add it underneath the Jeep. And this card is complete. For my next card, I have two pieces of pattern paper. The paper on the left is the woodsy scene with the tents and the trees. The one on the right is the kayaks in the water. So I wanted it to make like a camping scene with the pattern paper showing the tents in the woods on one side, and then you have like the lake with people in the kayaks on the other side. So I cut both of my pieces of pattern paper down to 4 by 5¼ inches, and I'm just adding a border die to the green pattern paper, and I'll run that through my die cutting machine. And once I die cut that, it gives me a really nice kind of like a curved edge, so that on the other side is the water with the kayaks. Next, I'm going to place the green pattern paper right on top of the kayak paper. Just line them up and then line up my die again, because I want to die cut the kayak paper in the same exact spot, so that now I have two pieces for my card. So I'm going to take the right side of the kayak paper and the left side of the green woodsy paper, and I'm going to add them to this piece of gold mirror cardstock. I wanted to have a little bit of gold peeking through between both sides of the pattern paper, just to be able to distinguish it a little bit better than having them resting right up next to each other. So that gold pattern paper, it measures 4¼ by 5½ inches. So I'm just adding those pieces of pattern paper, making sure I get a nice gold border all around the edge of the card, as well as between the two pieces of pattern paper. And also by doing this, my thoughts were that you don't normally see the water backed right up against to the green area. Normally it's separated by like a little beachy area with some sand or something separating it. So that's why I wanted to have that gold peeking through. And I didn't want to add too much ephemera on here, because I really wanted that pattern paper to do most of the work for this scene. The only thing that I'm going to add is this one piece of ephemera, but I am going to back it up on some white cardstock and just cut around the white cardstock, so that the white just acts as a border and it helps distinguish that piece from the rest of that pattern paper, so it doesn't drown inside that pattern paper. So that little ephemera piece is just a girl sitting on a blanket. There's some mountains behind her, and it just makes it look like she's sitting in the woods and she has the lake next to her. And then I go ahead and add the sentiment, Enjoy the Things You Love. I'm going to add this layer to the A2 size card base, and then that's going to complete this card. For my next card, I have the flower pattern paper that's cut to 4 by 5¼ inches. I'm adding that to a piece of the orange cardstock that's 4⅛ by 5�3. I'm also going to be bringing in the rectangle postage dies. This die set consists of 8 dies. There are 4 postage dies and 4 stitch dies. Again, you can use them by layering them together, or you can use only the stitch dies or only the postage dies. I went ahead and used one of the stitch dies to die cut the wood grain paper and a postal die to die cut the orange cardstock, and I layered those together. And I'm going to add my ephemera to the center of this rectangle. I'm going to add the tree stump as well as the fox. I'm also going to add some flower ephemera pieces all around. And for the sentiment, I'm going to bring in the word smile. It's a little banner sticker, and add it so that it is flush with the top edge of that wood grain pattern paper. And then I'm going to go ahead and add that to an A2 size card base. And that will complete this card. For my next card, I'm bringing in this constellation pattern paper, and I cut that down to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. I also have this tree paper that's 4 by 1 3/4 inches. I'm going to add the tree paper to the bottom part of that constellation pattern paper, and then I'm going to add some ephemera to create a woodsy scene. So I'm tucking 2 of the mountains behind the tree paper, and then I have the large tree off to the left side to fill in that space next to the large mountain. I have the deer, and then the smaller tree is going to be in front of the deer. It just adds for more depth to the card when you layer those ephemera pieces like I did. I also added a sentiment that says, "Here's to another year of adventures." I stamped that out in some black ink and just trimmed it down, and then I'm going to add this entire layer to a piece of blue cardstock that measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then I will add that to the A2 size card base, and that will complete this card. I think this card is perfect for a masculine birthday card. I love how that turned out. For my next card, I have this striped paper that's cut to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. I'll add that to my white card base. I also have this piece of pink pattern paper that I cut down to 1 5/8 by 5 1/2 inches. And I'll add that to the left side of my card. I cut the RV paper using one of the Postage rectangle dies, and I'm going to add that to the center. I die cut a circle from the gray pattern paper using one of the stitch dies from the Postage circle die set, and I'll add that. I'm going to add my ephemera pieces to the circle, so I have the sleeping bag, the backpack, and the boots. And then I'm going to add the sentiment, "Life is an adventure," and that will complete this card. For my next card, I'm using the blue plaid paper that I cut to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to add that to the solid blue cardstock that's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I also cut down the pink floral pattern paper to 3 1/2 by 4 3/4, and I'll add that right to the top. And of course, a Spellbinders card kit would not be complete without flowers. And this card kit does have a lot of floral ephemera pieces, and that's going to be the focal point of my card. So I just arrange some of the ephemera pieces on the front of the card, and then I'll go ahead and glue them down. After all of those ephemera pieces are glued down, I'm going to add the puffy sticker sentiment that says "Some kind of wonderful." I'm going to go ahead and add that to my A2 size card base, and then I forgot to add my butterfly, so I'm going to come back and add the butterfly. The butterfly, I am going to add some foam to the back so that it's popped up on the card, and I'll add it to the open area in the top left-hand corner, and that completes this card. And for my next card, I'm going to be creating another little scene. I have a piece of the cloud paper and a piece of that pink floral paper, and I'm just adding them together with a piece of tape. And then I'm going to take my circle die from the Postage circle die set, and I'm just going to position it over top and die cut that. So now the entire piece of both pieces of pattern paper have the stitching around. And then I'm going to add glue to the back. I also took that same die and die cut a piece of white cardstock, so I'm just going to layer both of these pieces onto the piece of white cardstock, and it just lines up perfectly because it was cut with the same die. So I'm going to create a little scene within this circle shape. But first I'll set that circle aside and work on the card background. I have the piece of rainbow cardstock that's cut to 5 1/4 by 4, and then I have the striped paper that's 5 1/4 by 2. So the striped paper is going to go across the rainbow paper. This is going to be a landscape card, so it's going across the center horizontally. And then I'll add the circle right in the middle, making sure that that cloud portion is on top because I'm going to use it as it's representing the sky in my scene. I'm going to add 2 of the tree ephemera pieces. I'm also going to add the bicycle, and I'll add a few mushrooms. I'm going to add the rainbow to the top of the circle. I'm also going to add the butterfly. I did pop the butterfly up with some foam, so that's going to go over top of the rainbow. The sentiment is the puffy sticker that says stay on the happy trail, and I'm going to line that right underneath the bottom edge of the rainbow. And then I'll add that to an A2 size card base. So I hope you liked my cards today. I will have product links for everything that I've used in this video down in the description box below and on my blog. And as always, there will be up close pictures of all of these cards and measurements for all of these cards on my blog. So check the description box of this YouTube video for that coordinating blog post link. I would love for you to leave me a comment and let me know which card was your favorite. And as always, if you like this video, please click that thumbs up button and be sure to click that subscribe button if you would like to see more card making inspiration from me. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.